Hi, I'm Dr. Nathan Wagner with Northwest Chiropractic and Rehab, and today our emphasis is going to be surrounded around our hips. Now, whether we're sitting at a computer desk, on our commute onto work, or taking our kids to school, we're doing a load of sitting. Now, sitting has a huge effect on our overall, our spine as well as our posture. Now, the average American is sitting somewhere between 8 and 9 hours a day, okay? That's also showing us that for every 10 hours that we're sitting here, we're wasting about 90% of the efforts that we use in the gym during like a 60-minute workout. There's also a huge amount of research that's showing us how sitting has a negative impact on our life expectancy. Because the thing about it is that what makes us such a silent killer is we don't usually feel it in our hips. So after a long day, you start feeling some lower back pain. You know, if you're trying to bend to put your shoes or your socks on, or you're trying to just pick up a load of laundry off the ground and you're having difficulty with that, that's a first sign that there's some type of hip dysfunction. Now, our hips are essentially the basement of our spine and create a lot of locomotion for us. But due to the fact that we must be so involved throughout our day to do the things that we need to do, our hips often take a lot of this, and we are essentially suffering from that. Because the thing about sitting down, especially for an absorbent amount of time, is when we go into this seated position here, we go into this position that's not a real comfortable one, okay? So you think about it, your hips, your hip flexors will attach somewhere along the lines of your legs up to your hips here. And these muscles get shortened and they adapt over time. So when we go into this standing position, these muscles become so shortened that we really aren't fully opening up our hips a lot of the time. So sitting over the long run of things shortens those muscles up, which creates stiffness, and these stiffnesses create weakness. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over some basic exercises and stretches to help increase the mobility in your hips and reduce the function there. Now, the important thing to remember when we're doing stretches is to take these in slow progressions, okay? Because we're slowly trying to lengthen out these muscles and not trying to do that all at once. So imagine if you were trying to stretch out a rubber band, you'd want to take that rubber band and stretch it out slowly. Because if you do it quick, then the elasticity is reached too quickly and that rubber band snaps. So we're going to go over a couple things. The first one we're going to go over is a supine hip mobility exercise, okay? So the thing we're going to do is we're going to lay flat on our back. We're going to bend both of our knees. Okay, we're going to take the affected leg that we're working with here, and I'm going to start with my right one, and we're going to place that and prop it right along the opposite leg there. Okay, you're going to notice I'm going through some fairly rapid motions right through here. We're going to do about 10 to 15 reps just to kind of warm up that hip. Then, once we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to apply a deep pressure. Try to get as much pressure as you possibly can. We're going to hold this one for somewhere between 20 and 40 seconds, okay? Whatever your body can tolerate. If it's getting too much, back off on a little bit, because the key to this one is just sustaining that stretch, okay? We're going to try to build our way up to the upwards of a minute to 2 minutes. So take this in small bunches. So after you get done with that 30 to 40 seconds, kind of shake that leg out, go back into it, and go right back as far as you can. You can do a couple of different variations. If this is too hard on your knee, just move that shin or that leg a little bit higher up in the shin, and that'll help take some of that pressure off the knee itself. Now, we'll do that on both legs. Go through a couple of different progressions until you build yourself up to get to that minute and eventually that 2 minutes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the Piriformis Stretch. Now we're going to be in a similar position here where we have that leg crossed over, but what we're going to do is we're going to try to imagine that we're taking that one knee that we're working with to the opposite shoulder, okay? So we're going to roll a bit over, okay? It's not really that we're looking here, is we're trying to get to that knee there, to that shoulder there. Okay, we're going to go through about 10 to 15 progressions of this. Okay, alongside of the piriformis, you're also going to feel some of those rotators of the hip as well. And then we're going to move into a more of a sustained hold. Okay, getting to that point, end point right through there. You're going to hold that for about 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, once you've reached that 30 to 40 seconds, just kind of shake that out, move it around a little bit more, and then what we'll do is we'll switch off to that other leg. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is the dreaded butterfly. Okay, now this is really going to help work with some of the adductors and other groin muscles here. Okay, now the key to remember about this one is to keep that posture upright, so we're not just caving our lower back in. Because a lot of times we're wanting to compensate and we start collapsing that lower spine there, which can cause even more damage and cause more lower back pain. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring that in just as far as you can while keeping that posture upright. Okay, so we're going to be working by keeping those legs out like a butterfly and going up and down through a few different progressions using both legs there. Okay, and you can also go into individual ones to get a more of a sustained pull and push there. Okay, working through there about 10 to 15 reps. Got me sweating a little bit now. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the opposite leg. Now, what you can also do is take that back hand and really push into it, making sure you're keeping that posture upright. And then you can take with both hands, or both elbows rather, and we're going to try to push those knees down as far as we can go. Holding that stretch for about 30 to 40 seconds. Okay, once you get done, just kind of relax it out a little bit more. And then we're going to go right back into it and do another set until we build ourselves up to that minute to even closer to 2 minutes. Okay? Now, the next one that we're going to go over is we're going to go into a kneeling lunge. Okay? It is just like it sounds. What we're going to do is we're going to imagine that we're standing with our feet about hip width, maybe a little bit further apart. This is going to be kind of a little give and take depending on how much balance, how good your balance is. But once you find that nice, comfortable position there, what we're going to do is we're going to rock this one forward. You may have seen me do a similar stretch to this called the couch stretch. This is a very simple but easy to do progression. We're going to rock those hips, kind of rock them forward, push them a little bit forward there to really get a good open right through here. Okay. Now once we've done that, we're going to lean forward and we're going to hold that stretch for 30 to 40 seconds. Okay. A closer progression to getting to that full couch stretch, because that can be a little bit more complicated, is once you get this down a little bit easier, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to grab that back leg. There we go. And we're going to pull that knee there. That knee flexion is going to help pull even further down into the lower hip flexors there. And then we're just going to hold and sustain that. Okay. Now once we've gotten to that point where we can do that full progression there, we're going to put our knee, our knee as close to the back of the wall as we can there, and just hold that posture as straight and upright. Because you're going to remember, we want to keep all of these stretches with our posture in an erect, nice state. That way we're not compensating for anything. Okay. Now the next that we're going to go over is the frog stretch. Now the thing with the frog stretch, what we're going to do is we're going to start in this kind of table stance if you're a yogi. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to bring our knees as far apart as we can and then get our balls of our feet right onto the ground. So we're going to rock into this one forward and then take it nice and slow backwards. You'll really want to mind yourself on this one. This one is a more of a groin stretch, so you don't want to go too fast on this one. So we're just going to rock back and forth about 10 repetitions. And then finally, we're going to try to push our palms against the ground and really force ourselves in this backward position here. Okay? This will look really familiar to, if anyone does do yoga, that child's pose. It's kind of an advanced version of that. We're going to hold that one for a good 30-40 seconds. This one you can actually push a little bit closer to a minute because we can kind of gauge ourselves on how much pressure that we're actually putting down. Okay, I'm going to go back up into that one. Now, this last one is a pigeon pose. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to keep that really similar to that first that kneeling lunge we did. But what we'll do with that is we're going to turn that leg all the way over, and we kind of want to keep this knee and the foot at about 90-degree angle to one another. Okay? So we're wanting to sit in this nice upright position here. Okay, you can even just kind of take some circles, kind of really work that hip. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to reach out as far as we can. Try not to remember to arch that back, but we want to keep that as straight as we possibly can and keep that held out. Okay. You can also go off to the side, to one direction or another. That will help stretch some of that lower back and some of the different hip rotator muscles right through there. Again, we'll take those into stretches there, going to the 15 repetitions, and hold that for about 30 to 40 seconds, depending on how much you can gauge yourself. Now, this last one is what I like to call a sprinter stretch. So we're going to go back up into this lunge position there. We're going to start with our right hand on the affected leg, and our knee and our elbow are going to come in contact with one another. We're going to really try to do our best to keep our foot on the ground and push out with that knee as much as we can. So go about 5 repetitions in that clockwise pattern, and then another 5 in the opposite. Okay? And then finally we're going to move down and put our elbow to the ground. Just get as close as you can. If you're having a little bit problem there, especially with those tighter muscles there, you're going to have some issues there, but our goal is to work where we can get that elbow to the ground and go in that same pattern there. Okay? We want to hold this position, getting ourselves as close to the ground as we can for 30 to 40 seconds and building our progressions. So that's all we're going to go over with that today. And as you can see, I'm a little bit stressed, because it's kind of getting a little bit sweaty. But that's kind of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to increase that blood flow, so we're getting it to those different joints there. Okay, so give that one a try. Do that a couple of different times a day, and keep those hips moving so we can keep you moving. All right, signing off. We'll see you next time.